So I want to talk about the offense. There's a lot to talk about, but believe it or not, when I went back and watched the tape, okay, so classic tape grinder thing to say, right? That when I went back and watched the tape, there was a lot more wrong with this game than just Fields. If you left the game or if you left the game the way I did, so losing to the Packers literally always sucks, and that it tends to bring out really the worst of I know my emotions. And if you are a Bears fan in the chat tonight and you feel the same way, you go ahead and raise your hand and know that it hurts and I hate it. And who doesn't hate it, right? But I really expected to see a worse game out of Fields when I went back and watched the tape. And Reinhardt von, I don't remember his last name in the comments, J2K, of course. I really expected to see a worse looking quarterback. I just saw the entire team lose. Like it's rough. And Rich Kid, that's a good way to put it. Like we got smoked. What you're going to see as we go ahead and start reviewing the offense, you're going to see Fields makes mistakes. You're going to see receivers make mistakes. You're going to see the linemen make mistakes. You're going to see people not 100% knowing where they're going. You're going to see the line not be able to hold on really key downs. You're going to see a bunch of stuff that's going to make you kind of sad. But Derek, honestly, I think the running backs are probably the only people that I'd give like a pass to, mostly because David Montgomery had this like, the replacements moment where he went, we ain't losing this game, and turned into Superman. And Akusai, the nice thing is that I can come away from this legitimately positive about the state of the running game. They mixed power concepts and zone run concepts really, really beautifully. And also when it comes to defense, just to give a quick overview, I ended up feeling better about Kyler Gordon coming out of the tape review than I went into it with. Now, that's not to say Gordon played super well. It's more to say Gordon and fundamentally all the defensive backs, but especially Gordon, got put in a really tough spot because the thing about this Packers offense, or at least their offensive performance today, that we didn't talk about enough is that they didn't just average. So normally when you average like 5 or 6 yards per carry, we've all been there. It's like 20 to 22% stops, maybe 25-30% stops, 3 massive explosive runs for like 40, 45, and 35 yards, and then a bunch of 2 to 3 yard gainers. And that's not what happened on this Packers offense today. They had 5.3 yards per carry going off the top of my head, 200 yards on the ground, and it was all in 4 to 9 yard chunks. The worst part about this game is that truly, if the Bears, which they did this most of the game, spent the game playing defense out of nickel, they could not stop the run. Their defensive linemen could not do enough to get in the way. Their linebackers could not do enough. And yes, that includes number 58, unfortunately. And this ended up putting Kyler in particular into a lot of spots where he triggered way too hard on play action passes, and the ball got thrown either right behind him, right in front of him, off to the side. He was trying to basically split the will linebacker role and the nickel corner role, and for a guy who's already learning nickel corner and like nickel corner and outside corner at the same time, it was just too much. I mean, the Packers defense just churned their way down the field, and it became a bit of a narrative, and I'm kind of calling Jeff Hughes out a little bit when I say this, that, oh, the Bears defense stiffened up in the second half. No, they didn't. The Packers just fumbled twice, completely unabated. Like, it was a complete unforced error on the Packers' part. They had a blown match point that turned into a fumble recovery, and they had Christian Watson come across on a jet sweep and get hit in the hip, and that turned into like a 15-yard loss that ended up with a punt. Like, the Bears defense just got run on, and it's tough. And so we'll talk about exactly what was going on, but I really think that because of all the freak out, all the fracas surrounding Fields in the offense, let's talk about it, because what we're about to get into is that the big key. Oh goodness, I need to start Epic Pen. I got so excited about all the tape that I forgot to start my drawing software. So the big takeaway here is unforced errors. And they're little things. they're not all even bad. Like, I completely get what you're talking about, Jay Sanders, about how, like, it's not an excuse and we've been waiting forever. We have, but we are talking about a quarterback in Justin Fields that, hey, before we blessed the guy, we gave Mitch 3 full years. Well, technically, some fans even gave him 4 full years. He was a redshirt junior. So Mitch was 23 when he got drafted. Fields, right now, he came out of the draft as a true junior. He turned 23 in March. I don't want to make too many excuses for him. I'm not going to. You are going to hear me tonight criticize Fields a lot, but make sure you know at the top of the show, I am of the impression that this is just one game. Fields is really young. Fields is not fifth-year senior, or like a redshirt senior Joe Burrow who's hitting the NFL with a lot of experience. He's not Kenny Pickett, who's in the same setting. He's not Mac Jones, who was at the very least a redshirt senior when he got to the NFL, and that's before he linked up with Josh McDaniels in an offense that fit him perfectly. This is Fields' second offense in 2 years. He's very young. He's very talented, and I'm not about to say that we know he's going to be great. I'm saying we got to at least give him the rest of the season before we freak out, because at this stage, it's easy to look at a horrible game against the Packers and say, oh my word, he sucks. And I hate the Bears and I love the Bears and I'm so frustrated, but it's a bad game. It is. And every time a Bears quarterback wears this white jersey on this field, it's like, and he embarrasses himself. It brings back all the bad memories of any other young quarterback you watch. Derek, I'm actually glad you brought up Trubisky, because I know if you're like me, this game feeling like Trubisky's 2019 Week 1 game, but at least in Trubisky's 2019 Week 1 game, that was his second year in an offense and his third year playing professional quarterback in general, let alone he got drafted as a redshirt junior, so he was a little bit older. But I'm with you, Derek. Like, I don't want to give Fields a total pass. That's not the key here. It's more to say that he's still in the race. Is not a bad way to put it. It's like on an evaluation curve, if Fields needs to go from point A to point B, he's like here. We've got year 1. Honestly, if I was going to redraw that, like, I'm personally really big on, you want year 1. This isn't going to be a great to scale drawing. Year 2, and then you need like at least 2 to 4 games of year 3. So Fields is like there or something like that. I mean, he's got 15 games left. God forbid he gets hurt. And so I don't by any means want to suggest, exactly like you're saying, Derek, that like this is excusable. This is great. We're great. Fields is great. We know. But jumping to conclude, I do think it's early to make a conclusion either way. What we do know is that Fields needs a lot of work, and we'll get to it. But anyways, starting with unforced errors, because let's get to the tape. So what you're going to see here is a run to the left, and I specifically want you to watch Larry Borom, because you're going to see Tevin Jenkins and Sam Mustipher combo block this defensive end right here, and Larry Borom is also going to block him. Larry Borom's going to go block this guy, who, when Mustipher and Jenkins combo block him, that's also Jenkins' assignment. So instead of, once Cole Kmet blocks the end, instead of Borom being here and having everybody blocked, you're going to see this corner right here just make the play. And it's a 4-yard gain. So it's not actually bad. You could see right here, both Jenkins and Borom engaged on the same defensive end. Like, we could talk a bunch of scheme. We don't have to in this case. It's just as simple as 2 guys blocking the same guy and 1 unblocked man. And David Montgomery isn't like an actual freight train as much as he hits like one. And 21 makes a play. And so had Borom, just winding it back a little bit, had Borom sealed him and Jenkins driven him out of the play, which is certainly possible, you're looking at a hit run. Exactly the kind of stuff the Packers were hitting on. It's not a touchdown. I mean, maybe. David Montgomery was embarrassing guys at the second level, especially near the end of the game. But it's a simple mistake. It's exactly the kind of mistake that you would expect out of an offense that's practically still in install in this case. But so, like, Montgomery blasts forward. By the way, make sure you keep your eye on 76 because Tevin Jenkins was really fun in this game, especially in the run blocking department. Like, check this out right here. It's a super simple play. We don't need to like over what is it? We don't need to overhype this. Oh, hang on. But you're going to see Jenkins off the snap give 94 a quick shove, and he sets him right onto Mustipher's grip immediately. And so that's a really nice pass. When you can honestly, I don't mean to dunk on Sam Mustipher, but when you can pass somebody off to Sam Mustipher successfully and still crank somebody at the second level, the Bears are looking at actual offensive line talent, and that's huge for the run game because I do think the run is going to be a large part of what this team's good at. Certainly they're not very good at pass blocking. But so the second unforced error that we saw was this. A couple plays later, it's Fields' first pass attempt of the game. If you take a look at what the receivers are doing, I mean, it looks to me like it was supposed to be a boot, just based on where the receivers go. Maybe it's a straight drop back and Fields throws this, but right now the route combinations seem kind of basic. Like, maybe that's me calling Getsy out. You make the call. But in this setting, it looks like maybe it would have just been a straight shot to Kmet because Blazing Game cuts the edge right there, so I don't think that he would roll out where he gets cut. But Fields falls on the ball. Because, well, where does Bull go? Blazing Game maybe, no. Blazing Game goes and executes his assignment. I think it would have been just a play-action pass at that point with that. Shanahan does this all the time where you take a sift blocker, you cut the end, and you have like a quick little pocket right here, even though the entire defensive line is moving way over there. But Fields drops it, so it's a wasted down, and it's an unforced error. I mean, there's no good way to say that, like, already we're like 4 plays deep into the offense and there's 2 problematic. It's not the center. I'm going to go to bat for Mustipher. I have called Mustipher out a lot, CV Omega. This is just Fields dropping it. Like, it hits the ball, or the ball hits Fields in the hands, and poof, it's on the ground. I do think if you want to be positive at all, that, or at least positive more towards next week, I do think that the Bears kind of got Lambeau'd. Like, Lambeau Field seemed to shake a lot of the team. Everybody made some kind of a mistake. And so in this setup, like, here's the flea flicker, which is pretty much the next play. And I think everybody's seen a good amount of analysis on this, but you've got 2 curls on the edge, and then Darnell Mooney's going to run a go. But as the flea flicker happens, right here, Cole Kmet is just supposed to hold off Preston Smith as long as he can. And the answer is he can't do it. So once Fields gets the ball, Smith's already bearing down on him, no pun intended, and then he makes a he quickly gets to ESB. If I can be honest with you guys, so Fields is looking at Mooney, and I don't actually know why he doesn't throw it. It's not to say that I'm going to hit him with a ding because he makes a nice throw under pressure to get the ball to Equanimeous St. Brown for a nice 30-yard gain, but maybe he feels the pressure. It's hard to tell. His eyes start on Mooney, and he's open. So, like, he never saw Smith, Joe. In that case, I really don't know why he didn't throw it to Mooney, because Mooney is the first look on that play, and Mooney has this guy beat. Maybe Fields couldn't see him or something. He never saw Mooney. That makes sense, because when you take a look at, let's see, this right here, you can actually see where Mooney and the defensive back might as well be screening Mooney. But either way, Fields gets to the second read. He fires a quick throw. Equanimeous St. Brown beats Jair Alexander on a comeback that I don't think Jair saw coming, and nice little play. Still, though, like, maybe a mental mistake, because Cole Kmet on this play, if we just take a look right here, gets owned. Like, this isn't, he held the block for a little bit. Just take a look as we go through this. This is Smith enters the frame, Kmet tries to get a push off, and immediately he is just owned. Right there. Smith's already got his hands on him. He beats him with absolutely no issue whatsoever. Fields gets the throw off. Moving on. The unforced errors didn't stop there on the first play of the next series, because we obviously know that Fields in the offense scores a touchdown. We'll get back to all that after the hour. So Fields' first sack of the day, It's a really nice play call. I've always known this as Seattle. In plenty of cases, it looks like this. 2 posts, a big deep in with a quick flare out underneath. So it's got like a little bit of sail right here with these 2 routes and 2 deep posts to draw as many defenders as possible. And Mooney is objectively open right here, but I'm holding a clicker. Like Mooney and Montgomery, both absolutely wide open. But if we take a look at this, yeah, J2K, we did. If you can take a look at this, Rashad Gary right here, oh my word, he thumps Larry Borum. He beats Borum badly, pushes 75 straight into Fields' lap to where at the top of Fields' drop, I mean, that is unignorable pressure. This is normal. Like, kudos to Braxton Jones. That's what normal looks like. But your own lineman barreling down directly on top of you and needing to protect the ball immediately, because if Fields just tries to load to throw this right now, whether he's trying to throw to Mooney, who's not quite open yet, or trying to throw to David Montgomery, it's a strip sack. I mean, just envision Fields right there pulling his arm back to throw in any capacity. Gary is right in front of him. So from there, if we take I'll play it out in real time and then I'll tell you what happens, because Fields obviously runs straight into a sack and the Bears end up owned. So whose fault is it? If it was me, and you'll get Lester's take tomorrow on Sack Watch or whenever we release it, but I think it's split, because you can't, as a quarterback, hold on to the ball for 4.5 seconds and expect good things to happen. I get it. Like, extending plays is great. But when you're in the pocket in this setting, as soon as Fields moves to there, he needs to get the ball out. It doesn't matter where. And thankfully, he's got a check down that is holy moly open. Like, if you dump the ball under any circumstance to 32 in this case, then you're going to be fine. So does he have the opportunity to do it? Yes, right here. And again, I have the clicker. Like, so I know that to me it looks easy, but I think that there is a quick throwing window right before this, because this is too late. Like, this was a problem that Justin Fields has, where split seconds were his problem, where the door was open, he needed to cock his arm and get the ball out immediately, the door is closed. Now he's hit. Again, we're looking at a split second decision, but while the play call works, Mooney gets open. And also Montgomery's like plenty good as a check down right here in the flat. The line makes Fields' job not immediately easy, and under the strain of dealing with pressure, Fields flubs. So I don't pin it on Braxton. This is exactly the kind of play that like plenty of left tackles do, where you just wash him around the edge, so to speak. That's normal, because once you're standing in the pocket, you're good to go. Akusai's got a great point. If Fields wants to scramble, like, go. Take off to the left, but instead he looks to throw. Like, this is a problem we've actually seen with Fields a lot. You can think of it, I don't need examples, where Fields knows he wants to get the ball to David Montgomery. It is almost as if he needs to stare at it for like 2 to 3 seconds to feel comfortable. And so it almost looks like he says to himself, okay, I'm going to get out of this pressure, and then I'm going to dump the ball off to Montgomery. In my opinion, he needs to be thinking check down from the moment that he gets through this. So that's like, as soon as you get to the back of the drop and your tackle's in front of you, I want Fields thinking check down. And to Jay Sanders' point, step up, check down. Like, flick it. Doesn't matter. Or roll your shoulder to get past whoever, or like Whitehair's guy. Step forward, check down. There's ways to do this that I have to put this at least a little on Fields. I'm with Joe Delia. I do think this is inexcusable from Borum. Here's the tight angle where you'll see it. He just gets owned. I don't think that there's a possible way that he steps up and throws to Mooney, as much as I'd love him to. But getting to the check down, now that's doable. And it doesn't just take a clicker. You have to get the ball out. Mac Jones, if there's something he's doing really well, Joe Burrow, if there's something he's doing really well, get the ball out. Well, Burrow, not so much. I mean, he's given up 13 sacks this year. But Mac Jones isn't going to try to make that play. This is the blessing and the curse of Justin Fields. And frankly, the reason that I started with that big diatribe about how young he is because Fields has a lot more options than Mac Jones. Jones. Mac Jones has to step up and dunk the ball off. He doesn't have the legs to even consider running, right? So this is the kind of play that, frankly, I mean, say Preston Smith had gotten stuck right here, just fouled up, because obviously Fields does not have literal eyes in the back of his head. Fields is rolling right, and you never know. Maybe Fields didn't want to give up on Mooney downfield. Maybe. But he gets crushed because he doesn't get the ball out. Fields' time to throw is the longest in the NFL right now, despite having half. Fields has less attempts than almost every quarterback or than every single football team right now has completions. Like, let me be clear. Let me say that again. Fields has less attempts than every team has completions. And so this is something that just has to get better. Get the ball out. And so, thank you, Mike. Glad you're enjoying it. And it's something that, like, Fields knows. Fields now has 12 starts. If this was start 18, if this was start 22, if this was start 26, we are in Dunsville territory. But it's not quite like we're not quite there yet. We're in start 12, and this was a problem. Don't get me wrong, but I completely understand that that Fields, at the very least, this is better than last year because he does step up in the pocket, at least a little bit. He avoids the strip sack, which was a huge issue last year. We haven't seen... no, we did. We do see Fields give up a fumble, I think. On this one, as a matter of fact. There goes the ball. But it's like the timing. The timing is something Fields right now, if I was going to be very specific, is suffering from a problem where he's thinking too much. And to me, that's something that needs to be fixed with experience, which, lucky Justin, he started in a brand new offense that runs primarily completely different concepts. So I don't blame Fields for playing kind of slow, but he's got to play fast. If he ran 6 total play calls, but he ran them quickly, he would be doing better than what he's doing now, where you can tell that Fields is deliberating over everything he's doing. Don't think, feel. Do the Josh Allen thing. Josh Allen channels this like football magic. We all see it. Patrick Mahomes does the same thing, where Allen tells himself, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to spin in a circle in the pocket and then throw a frozen rope for a touchdown 30 yards down the field. Like, it's ridiculous what some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL do, but they just do it, and they do it on time, and they do it fast. And when we get in the defense, you'll see just how important anticipation is. There are tons of these windows that are literally only open in the NFL for a single tick of the clock, but Fields is waiting too long. He's hesitating too much. Stop worrying about throwing an interception over the San Francisco middle of the defense, because at least he did that on time. Play fast. And I'm hoping that as we move on to a team that doesn't have Rashad Gary and Preston Smith and also Kenny Clark on it, who's not on the field right now, that the Bears won't quite be in this hole, and we'll get to see a little more of Fields playing a smidge faster, but also playing a smidge, but also like getting the time he needs to start working that clock down and making a few more plays. The nice thing about Fields, as we'll see, is that he's crazy talented, both in the arm and the legs, but that brain's got to catch up. It's got to catch up. And honestly, even if Fields ends up kind of like Russell Wilson, who people don't talk about the fact that Russell Wilson was a slow processor for years. He was just extremely talented. Actually, I'm going to take that back. That isn't true. Like, Russ threw with anticipation too. It's just got to be something that he does. Like, we cannot continue to, I don't want to say like, we can't allow, we the fans don't do anything here, but we can't be comfortable with a quarterback that hesitates so much. Anyways, I'm starting to keep talking about it. Let's go. Let's get through this. So later on in the drive, let me see. Oh, next drive. First play of next drive, false start. And ooh, it's small, but it's Ryan Griffin right here. You want to talk about making little mistakes? Check out, I think it is 84. You're going to see pop right there. It's that little butt waggle. If I had to zoom, I would zoom. But you know what? I'm just going to circle it, and we're just going to play from there. Boom, butt waggle, false start. And as soon as they get into 1st and 15, what are they going to do? If your guess was run the ball, you're right. And if your guess was get stuck running the ball, you're also right. And so on this play, it's the first play all game where a Packers defensive lineman has made a play, but he's going to shuck Mustipher, which is unsurprising, unfortunately. And the Bears are suddenly going to go from 1st and 15, which, not that bad in the wide world of things. They're going to end up in 2nd and 14 really quickly. I'm not even disputing the play call for a moment here because this is actually a relatively light box. Not great, but not horrible given all the tight ends that they have here. That's 7 on 7. But watch 67 and what happens to him by 93. 67 is literally going to take the running lane and he's going to throw Mustipher into it. And Whitehair tries to clear it, but 7's going to work over the top, and it's a gain of nothing because there's really just nowhere to go. Hey, you can't win them all on the ground, but by the time they were in 2nd and 14, there was just nothing there. Monty was not in on this drive, Bob, which admittedly, not having Monty in on a drive with, or not having Montgomery in on a drive with like the way he was playing ended up being a huge mistake. So now we got to talk about the illegal forward pass. Let me collect myself. With the illegal forward pass, it's a nice reminder that Fields, who is talented, could make some plays if he gets himself under control. But instead, he's going to throw this pass, which is the right idea, well past the line to gain. So what should he have done? Well, in my opinion, okay, so have we all been in a high pressure situation before? You know how you think you're thinking really fast, but in actuality, you're thinking really slow? Fields steps up to run the ball on what is a relatively simple concept. It looks like Mooney's going to go run a big clear out route, which against like a deep cover 3 is just never going to be open. And then you're going to get 2 levels routes. So one short one and one long one. And this one comes out first. So if the linebacker and the safety bite down on it, you go to the second one, which opens up a little bit later. So Fields sees this, he feels pressure because Lucas Patrick's guy beats him. And Lucas Patrick's fine. We don't need to hate on Lucas Patrick. I know he's replacing Tevin Jenkins, and that makes everybody mad. But in this case, he gives up pressure. So Fields steps up. Good for Fields. Reset your feet. Reset him. And I know he's been hit from behind. I get it. He's learned all the reasons in the world to not trust your offensive line, slowly but surely. But if he resets his feet, he's going to be able to get ESB over the top. And if not, he's got Herbert absolutely exploding off the check down. You reset your feet right now and flip the ball to Khalil Herbert. He's not literally gone, but dang, he's close. These kinds of broken plays happen all the time, especially for mobile quarterbacks. You dump it off to your running back, and he just goes crazy because a linebacker paid you a little bit too much attention. But Fields is thinking too slowly here, and he literally sees Equanimeous St. Brown, has the right idea, and has it way too late because he thought to himself, I got to run this ball. And by the time he peels off, it's just impossible to stop. He's a little bit too fast and a little bit too big, and nobody has the ability to stop that quickly. The check down, there were other things open. It's not me critiquing necessarily this. It's not me critiquing specifically the fact that he thought that, or the decision to throw to ESB. It's not me critiquing the forward pass. What I'm pointing out is that he went first, his first call after pressure was, I got to just run the ball. And I get the percentage thing that he talked about, but you got to slow down and you got to try to play quarterback because as mobile as he is, there's just no real way that he's beating a sitting linebacker in a foot race. And while that's fine on third down, you can't win them all. There are ways to try to create after a breakdown, as we saw with Dante Pettis, and you got to stay behind the line of scrimmage to do that. So obviously not a good play. The concept isn't phenomenal like you're talking about, Jordan, but part of me thinks that we're looking at a team that honestly just hasn't got that many concepts installed. Or maybe Luke Getsy's concepts aren't phenomenal. Honestly, we're going to need way more games and way more passing attempts to come to any conclusion there. But Fields goes from I'm going to run it to never mind, I'm not going to run it, and he just runs out of real estate. And that's something as we move forward that he can fix. He just needs to start fixing it. So then when we talk about unforced errors, this is a second down. So the Bears botch a first down, and I can't remember how they do it. But this is second down in particular. And on 2nd and 10, what do the Bears do? They run the ball. So the moment that Rashad Gary right here, once he sees Darnell Mooney coming across the field, he just takes a bet that they're running the ball, and that worst case scenario, he needs to get inside Borum so he can try to chase down the backfield. And if it comes back the other way, he'll be right there. But most importantly, he just anticipates Borum coming out to block him, and cool. Gosh, like Gary didn't bite that at all. You got to remember that normal defensive posture here is, it looks like the entire Packers line does it. They must have all seen Mooney moving and all thought that the play was going this way to Mooney one way or another. Because the entire Packers defensive line comes off the ball and gets on the inside of the blocks, but Rashad Gary does it so emphatically that Herbert just never has a chance. And here the Bears are in another second, or now it's 3rd and 12, and there is no play in this Bears offense out of 3rd and 12. So that was like the whole first half. We had a touchdown drive, but we had a bunch of unforced errors. And then we get another one. This is a sweet little play right here. They're going to have Equanimeous St. Brown come around and turn his jet sweeping motion into an arc block with Cole Kmet coming around on the arc block. Not only that, bang, bang. Either way, the Bears should have a really solid play on the way. So what happens? Well, Equanimeous St. Brown gets really confused on who he's supposed to block and blocks nobody. So instead of blocking 31, who he thinks maybe I'm supposed to block, Cole Kmet goes out and blocks 29, which is fine. Kmet does a decent job here. It just means that if ESB had blocked out 31, now you're talking about a potential really nice play with Dante Pettis holding a really good block. Instead, 31 runs Justin Fields out of bounds, and a 6-yard gain. It's fine. That's the funny part about this. When we talk about the Bears offense beating themselves, it's not because they traditionally beat themselves and all their plays were failures. It's because middling gains could have been explosive plays, but they kept kind of goofing up in one way or another. And then there's obviously, let me see here. Here's the back end view of it, and you can see it too. ESB is just very confused on who he's supposed to block. He eyes up the first guy, and if that had happened, I think they go like this. And if ESB blocks him, then Kmet's going to come out there and seal him. It's hard to know, and I'm not about to tell you because I'm not in the room. What I can tell you is that they're not supposed to look like, that. And so there is a lot of this, like you're talking about. J2K, I'm with you. I hate it too when they lose their mind. They're two guys to block and they block neither. But these are the moments that remind you, oh, wow, this isn't just a quarterback completely oafing up. The whole offense is making a lot of mistakes. Not everybody's on the same page, and they're against a good enough defense to just smoke them on account of it. And then we get the second sack. And the second sack is a real bummer because we're looking at a tight end pick play where I think it's St. Brown is going to set a pick for Cole Kmet. And Cole, I wish I was kidding, is laid out of his stance. So by the time that Fields looks over, he's nowhere near out of his break. And Borum's giving up pressure again. So Fields looks back at Mooney, who's not out of his break either. He's barely got him started. So maybe at this moment, with the clicker, Fields loads and throws an anticipatory throw. He needs to. That's a play I want Fields to make. But Kmet has yet to begin breaking, and he is the read. And so Fields looks over, and almost as soon as that happens, almost as soon as Mooney begins to break and he's on a linebacker, this is the throw. This is what Mac Jones would do. And Mac Jones isn't the perfect standard of quarterbacking, but these are what I think Fields needs to learn is in this moment, okay, checking down to Mooney, good idea. Get rid of the ball. And but he doesn't. Rashad Gary cleans up the sack. Bummer. Now, I wish I was kidding about Cole Kmet being laid out of his stance, but let's take a look at this. So Let's see the snap. I'm doing this in slow motion. Watch for how late 85 moves. It's silly, but it matters. Boom. There he goes. So everybody is here. The ball has reached Fields, and Kmet has yet to start, which on a timing play, like the one the Bears are trying to run, kind of needs your first receiver to get to his landmark, at least on time, right? So from there, Fields catches and loads, but Kmet's just nowhere close. And this is the moment, honestly, I think Fields just succumbs to panic because you've got your wide receiver one, he's breaking out, dump the ball over the top, but instead he kind of double clutches and goes down. Not good. Like, F for Fields, but it's not as if the offense... Let me put it this way. I did not see in this game a quarterback who, outside of this play that I think everybody has paid attention to, outside of this one, he didn't make mistakes that everybody did everything right except for the quarterback. This was kind of his one where, believe it or not, I'm less frustrated at him not throwing to Equanimeous St. Brown than I am at him not throwing to Dante Pettis. Dante is open. Dante's open for a first down. It's third down. Throw the ball. Like, what are you waiting for in this setting? Like, you're looking, boom, break. Corner nowhere near. So what are we waiting on? Let's see. Can I get back to where we were? And yeah, Jordan, I totally agree. We all have mental farts. Like, this was Fields' moment. But you gotta throw to Pettis here. Boom. Broke him down. DB going backwards. Get rid of the football. Go. Like, I agree with you, Bob. It does look like Fields let go of him. But, Willie, you're right that three receivers are open. Oh, good chance that Fields is seeing this, or like Rasul Douglas right here. That's it. No, that's what's going on, is just taking a look at it again. Pettis isn't open because Rasul is right in the neighborhood. Now, Rasul moves away, but you can clearly, I got the impression Fields was so worried about making a mistake in this game that, like Jordan just said, it's paralysis by analysis. I mean, Fields isn't getting a whole lot of throws. There is not the Brian Daboll vibe, if I can compliment Brian Daboll, of, hey, make mistakes, don't worry about it. Like, you'll get them back on the next one. If you throw a pick, go get another touchdown after the play. But in this case specifically, Fields then moves on, and as soon as he sees the mailbox, throw the ball. Like, people have said that this was not in Fields' wheelhouse. It is. Fields has an absolute howitzer. I understand Equanimeous St. Brown is 20 yards down the field, but if Fields laced a rope onto here, ESB can catch it without the safety by any means getting involved. And I know I'm going with slow-mo, but watch number 26 here. The safety stops his feet too. Like, the safety's headed backwards, stops his feet, and then begins to break. Had Fields released the ball, he's gone. Like, Equanimeous St. Brown is in the end zone. This was a field flipping play that just didn't happen. And so that's something that obviously Fields needs to work on. I get it. He hits the check down, but I'm not really going to applaud hitting the check down after 4 seconds in this case, because there's just two other good options. And then taking a look from the tight angle, like, exactly, Joe. Like, we know Fields has the arm. So I think that Fields still could have sniped the ball on the inside. I see way too many receivers in the NFL that where on a curl route like this, Pettis could come out, and he comes out on the inside. So if Fields had thrown this ball to, say, I mean, not literally that far, that's a little too far, but if Fields had thrown the ball to there, Pettis can easily break on it, catch it, and start curling up field. Mark, this is like the 5th drive of the game, like the first drive of the second half. You don't have to play this thing by the book, and I've seen Fields make tougher throws. But Pettis comes open. This one's Fields' I think, biggest mistake. The sack, it's bad. Got to get the ball out. The second sack, very weird. Throw it to Mooney, yes, but I actually think there's less blame there than the first sack was. This one hurts. Like, This one, you got to make the play. This is leaving a play on the field. There were good plays. Like, it's not as if everything went badly. We have covered a lot of bad at this stage. But I wanted to make sure that in this section, I threw together some good ones. Like here, you're going to see a sweet little power play as I think it's Whitehair comes through on guard lead, where just to cover exactly what's going on, you're going to see, this is back in the first quarter, by the way. You're going to see the fullback come across. He's going to seal Preston Smith. You're going to see everybody down block this way, except for Cody Whitehair, who's going to pull and become the fullback and flip in. Jay Sanders, remember, this is the first drive of the game. This is the touchdown drive. And so Whitehair comes around. Montgomery does a fabulous job of seeing there is no hole here. Better take it outside. And he just sprints out, sprints forward, boom, gets on in. Then on the goal line, there's not going to be an easier touchdown than this. This is a play that's going to become the Bears' goal line staple, for crying out loud. It's already one of Rodgers' goal line staples. But Montgomery holds this defensive back. Fields wins an easy foot race to the end zone, and boom, he's in. Like, this is sweet. This isn't exactly what to be excited about, but when you talk about like a true dual threat quarterback, these are fun. And I almost wish there was a way that we could, combine rushing touchdowns and passing touchdowns from the quarterback position, because it's because this is easy. This is as easy gets. I'm a little frustrated that from like a quarterback rating perspective, Fields doesn't get any credit for this. Not that I care that much about Fields' statistics, but these help your offense a lot. But unforced errors were still common. And so while at this point, if I'm remembering the script that I wrote for myself, this is where Montgomery starts to become Superman. He starts to just enter the gungeon. He starts to become something he should not. Like the Bears get some nice flow going in the run game. And by flow, I mean like literally they wash everybody down. But Montgomery gets stuck here, rolls off the back of a defender, and just stiff arms a full-on defensive tackle, wiggles his way out of one, wiggles his way out of two, and still falls forward. Like, this is Montgomery's, like, extension game. This was... I have been so critical of 32. I have been so running backs don't matter. This was like the game that you say, holy moly, pay that man his money. This was one of the best plays of Fields' season so far, and it just looks so nice and so easy. It's a simple little thing. Honestly, I don't even know if Kmet and the receiver over here quite know what they're doing. They kind of just get out of the way. But Ryan Griffin's just going to run up the seam. Fields going to pop, back of his drop, throw it, boom, easy. I mean, truly easy for an 18-yard strike. I don't even think that's his first read. Like, it looks as if his first read's Mooney. He gets kind of gun-shy because he sees the corner out there. So he flips back to his second. Okay, he's open. Quick decision. Back of the drop. Fires it. Bang. Yes. Kudos. Nice. It's not all bad, but this is one of his 3 passes that he had over 5 yards. So not good either. And then on a 3rd and 2 here, we're going to see probably the worst of the unforced errors that the Bears had, as this is the one where Whitehair and Mustipher kind of, they don't know who to snap it. And so they snap the ball. You're going to see the offensive line part like the Red Sea. Like, he's going to go there. Borum's going to go there. Leaves a defensive lineman to come right through. Fields doesn't even try handing it off. Montgomery tries to take the handoff, but that's not there. It's just a blown play. Like a complete blown play. I don't know whose fault it is, because Fields doesn't look like he's snapping for it, or he's calling for it. Fields here, like, Mustipher's looking back. Whitehair turns and taps him. And then Fields starts to audible, and Whitehair goes back, and it looks like he's literally talking to him right there. And then snap comes. Jenkins goes this way. Mustipher goes this way. Whitehair goes this way. Borum goes that way. I don't have any idea what was supposed to happen here. like truly, you could just about tell me it's a passing play. And I might believe you, because I don't know what Jones does either now that I'm watching it. Like, he almost fades back with the runner, and it's just all bad. Like, again, did Fields play poorly? Unmistakably, Fields played poorly. But is he the only one? No. They got Lambeau'd real bad. But so then I wanted to throw in some Montgomery highlights. These are some sweet runs. Like, this is just classic power toss. As you get the whole line flowing this way, you can see it. You know it's beautiful. Wide receivers coming out to make blocks. David Montgomery looking like David Montgomery. Kari Blasingame coming out here driving a defensive end out of the play. Like, this is honestly, like, I don't mean to be the 85 guy here, but this is like 85 style football. Montgomery literally carries an entire pile of Packers for 5 full yards starting there and just drags them. Looks like it was 6 yards. Like, this is where Montgomery's fever meter hit, and he started just exploding. I mean, we're about to get to one of my favorite plays too, because then on 2nd and 20, so this was a sad one, by the way. I do have to talk about this. It popped up, so I have to talk about it. The Bears did try to get Fields involved again in the passing game, and you want to talk about second-guessing himself? This is going to be a very good film room, or at least it should, because in this case, so the Bears are going to run a bootleg. It is one of the simplest bootlegs that you could possibly expect, with Kmet coming over like that. No, he's not open. Darnell Mooney one-on-one down the field. And you know the worst part is? Fields should have just tucked and ran it. If I was going to talk about maximizing the play call, go. But instead, and there's nothing wrong with this, tries to give his number 1 wide receiver, who's had a total of 2 catches across the entire season so far, the opportunity to go in a one-on-one. Mooney just doesn't do it. And so at this point, still at this moment, if Fields took off, he might end up getting 5, 6, 7, 8 yards. I don't know. But by the time Fields loads, he's beat. Mooney just, I don't think Mooney quit on it. I do think that this is I honestly think this is a throwaway. Fields launches it. Maybe I'm being too high on Fields. If there is something that I would like Fields to do in these settings, maybe I'm crazy, but when you're losing, throw the ball over here. There is no one there. So if you really want to fool a defensive back, have the receiver shank inside. Toss the ball there or something like that. Not quite. I mean, you got to actually lead him. But if you give him something to run to, I can't tell you how many times I've seen Golden Tate run that route where they go boom, boom, and then just cut on in. The ball floats over there, and now you've got a way for a beaten receiver to become unbeaten. That doesn't happen, though. So as much as I would... The real bummer, though, there is that in that moment, Fields did reset his feet. Fields did what I'm complaining about. And it might not work, Akusai. I mean, this isn't Fields' fault. I'm being hypercritical at this stage. Fields resets his feet on the play-action bootleg, gives Mooney his one-on-one, and nope. It's not there. This is another player that kind of had their moment and guffed their moment, to be specific. So then moving on, here's the tight angle of it. Word truth, there's a lot going on in this one. But so then David Montgomery just continues to be David Montgomery. Look at some of these cuts, for crying out loud. You want to talk, seriously, this is NBA Street fever meter. Just shanks between 2 guys right here. Holy smokes. Just plants his feet and cuts almost a full 90-degree angle to get back inside the defense and then hits the gas again. It doesn't matter if his gas is a 3rd year. Yeah, no kidding, Slim Jim. It's the worst. But this is sweet. And it helps that the run game looks way better than it ever did in the Nagy years. It's not just a bunch of outside zone and stuff like that. But like you're saying, J2K, once Monty gets to the 2nd level, he's just a beast. And then we get maybe my favorite run of the day. Oh no, we have to talk about this first. Like, even the play caller took his L's. What are you supposed to do about this third sack? Whose fault is it that Preston Smith stays on him and goes and hits Fields after the fact? And I know Fields has to, like, be accountable for this guy. I know that if I was going to be, like, super critical, you have to just throw the ball away in that moment. You need to. But Fields beat a super sack last week. He tried to do it again with a spin move right here and obviously misplanted his feet. But this one, like, seriously? He stayed? Are you kidding? Like, I'll give him a pass. I'll even give Getsy a pass. Why is he supposed to just stand there? Like, Fields hides the ball. This whole play is run pretty much like you're supposed to run it. Like, running back gets the ball, or at least fakes takes it, and then Fields gimmicks on out. I don't know how Smith picked it up. Smith may not have cared. Like, CV. He did what he was, as I understand the way that Rodgers runs this play, he did exactly what he's supposed to do. The defensive end just sat on him. And bummer. It set up one of the greatest plays the Bears may have this season. Like, admittedly, David Montgomery decided, we ain't losing this game. And lines up on the next play and just does this, casual 1, 2, Olay, number 3, like, beats way too much. Holy moly. I hear you, Censored, like, that it's on Justin, but hard to, like, that it's, because it's got to be on Justin, but I almost pin it on Getsy. Like, Getsy called the play, Getsy runs the, like, Justin ran the play as expected, and he came back to a defensive lineman completely on top of him when there's no way you're coached to expect him right on top of you. I agree with Joe Delia here. We're just going to completely ignore that this was a 2nd and 20 and they called the run. Like, you want to talk about pseudo capitulation? It's this view that if you follow my Twitter at all, you've seen it on Twitter, you know what's coming. It's sick. It's really cool. And oh no, did I somehow not put the tight view in? Oh, what a bummer. Does it just skip? Oh, that's on me. You know what? I'm gonna fix it. I can do that. Here's some streaming magic. Nobody tell anybody. This was fully intended the whole time. Anyways. Yeah, I know, Censored. We need the tight view, because the tight view is like superhero stuff. They run guard lead again. Guard lead gets through. 97 almost owns. I think it's Mustafa. Nope, it's Whitehair. So Whitehair almost gets dominated. Bummer. Yeah, Kusai, it's just an unforced error on everybody at this point. But Montgomery, I mean, come on. You know what? I'm just going to play it in slow motion. This is so sick. Like, Montgomery hop steps straight over a tackle. Can't do it any cooler. Like, this is cinematic. Eats a tackle from a linebacker who hits him square on, and he just shucks him. And then jukes 26 out of his shoes. It's so cool. Like, when people talk about Montgomery being our best player, I get it. Because if nothing else, David Montgomery, when he's on his game, just has all of the style points you could ever ask for. I have unironically watched this run probably about 20 times because this run is fun. Like, this is so cool. Had Montgomery, the only thing that would have made it any cooler is if Montgomery, after beating him, put his head down and just truck sticked 26 and kept going. I mean, it was so cool. But so then after that, I can't remember if the Bears make another mistake. No, Herbert hits a big run. And this is what Herbert does well, because there's a hole, he cuts up the field, and poof, he's off. Like, this one looks easy. Herbert makes running back look extremely easy when he's at his best, because he just runs through a hole. Like, in this case, you've got the whole offensive line flowing. They flow really, really well. 93 owns Mustafa, so that forces Herbert to arc back a little more than he wants to. But then he realizes that Patrick's got him sealed. They're sealing everybody else. There's a hole up in the middle. Just go. And he does. And Pringle hits 26. Mooney hits 31. Herbert cuts back up the field and just sends it. Thumbs up. Then they get to the end zone, and it's like not super pretty. Oh, I had to show this one. This one's weird. You want to talk about making a mistake, but then kind of getting lucky? I do not think that this is a zone read, or at least a friend of mine doesn't, because normally you don't have a sift block on a zone read. But in this case, it worked out because Fields freezes Preston Smith. Kmet comes through and just ices him. And then it's a foot race to the other side of the field. I don't know if Fields just saw something in this specific moment or whether he decided, screw it, it's 3rd and 5. I'm going to go get the first down myself. Hard to tell. The refs tried to take it away from him. They didn't. I was kind of stunned they didn't give it to him. In every other setting I've watched this, the referees always give the quarterback with the outstretched arm the first down and literally no more. But it's a funny play, if mostly because Kmet just hits him almost like a blind shot. But it was a weird moment. And then we get to, this is 3rd and 6. So on the 3rd and 6, I wanted to point out that Fields does get the ball in his hands. They call a pass. And so it's a mirrored concept where you're going to have a dig right here and a corner route and a dig right here and a corner route, and generally Ty goes to the side the running back is going to come out on, because at least then you can go 1, 2, 3 instead of going 1, 2 stuck, right? So Fields picks the side that's normal for this sort of thing. He just kind of, I don't want to say gets unlucky, but Dante Pettis comes stupid wide open. Obviously, if you can tell by the freeze frame, the pocket's a mess. So another kind of L moment for the offensive line. But you want to talk about the freeze frame moment? This is where, when I was younger, probably 3 years ago, I go, Trubisky, hit the open guy. But it's not really how it works. Fields is looking through his reads and he's covered. So Fields breaks out of the pocket and tries to do what he can with it. And honestly, what he can with it's pretty good. He almost beat 7 in a just direct foot race. When you look at the tight angle, it's not kind to Braxton Jones. Frankly, the whole game was pretty unkind to the offensive line as a unit when it came to pass blocking. I can almost understand why they didn't call more passes, because in this case, the Packers defensive line was just owning them. But this is Preston Smith's best rep of the game. And, there we go. Braxton doesn't get a clean punch on him at all. Preston opens the gate immediately, and Fields senses it and passes on away. There is a Kusai. It's the Kmet drop, but I thought that showing a Kmet drop would just make us all super sad, and because we've just seen it too many times. Zai, I don't think Braxton was explicitly late on his get off. I think Braxton just didn't get a punch on. He kind of taps Smith on the helmet, but instead of getting a hand on his chest, I think he goes for a grab, but he basically goes for a grab too late. And so he doesn't get anything on Smith. Smith plants his field and opens the gate. And then Fields ends up in a foot race and truly makes the most out of a horrible play. Kyler Murray could have scored this. I wouldn't be surprised that, let's see. So, he is a little late. You're right. That's a good catch, Zai. So in this case, and Slim Jim, unfortunately, yes. Thank you, AGM. But so Borum gets off just a little bit, or Braxton gets off just a little bit late. Preston beats him, but Fields turns it into, okay, so body mechanics are tough, but next time Fields does this, keep that leg open. Go for the dive, full stretch, and it's in. But because he lets that knee come down, it ends up inches, right? And I'm pretty sure I included the shotgun play because I would have felt like just a flat out bad analyst if I didn't include the shotgun play. But that's how it goes. The CV Murray was just crazy watching what happened there. But so, Censored, you asked about, like, do I have any explanation for the shotgun 4th and 1? I got to tell you that take an extra swig of the drink to say it. I do get it. Like, if you're going to go under center, you can't have the quarterback run. And we watch it here, and it looks idiotic, right? But when you watch when you watch the tight angle, Montgomery throws a heck of a block, and we have to get through a huge Green Bay celebration to get there. Like, the whole key of this play is that you just get 10 blockers on the field. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever it is. I mean, you're actually going to get Patrick pulling. That's the weird part. Is the shotgun the problem? I don't know, but this might be, because once you get Patrick on the pull, you're trying a little bit too hard to get to get inches. And Kmet can't quite wash 90 down. So because of that, Lucas doesn't even get to his pull. And the only reason, by the way, that this play even stands a chance is because Montgomery hits a huge block right there and just stands Preston Smith straight up. You want to talk about beast mode? Even on the plays where he didn't get the ball, Montgomery was huge. Look at this. Like, you're talking about a running back nowhere near as big as Smith, and he makes him take a step back. Like, he stuns Smith outright, full on, like, rumbles him. And it's the only reason that Fields may have scored. Now, do I think Fields was in? Can I be honest? I don't really care. I have always thought it's kind of stupid that in the world of football, you just have to break the plane. Not that I need it to go full rugby, but I appreciate it when my touchdowns are in. I do think, Censor, if you, like, made me decide that Fields is in, but I can understand exactly why they let the call on the field stand, and I think the call on the field was wrong. Like, but while the call on the field was wrong, Fields' surge is late and it's hard to see. Remember, the referees are looking from, like, here and here. It's tough. Like, you cannot see Fields. There's no reason to believe that he surged forward like he did until you get to until you get to that right there, that little lean where it gets, maybe, I'd even say probably, but you can't see the ball. Like, you can't confirm it. I've seen too many of these. It's not a bad call. I don't think. It's just a tough one. Get the touchdown through normally. Or run the same thing we normally do and have Fields roll out again and Monty go into the flat. But it's neat to see the I thought Jordan said it really well. Right neighborhood, wrong house. It's not that it is just the worst play call you've ever seen, even though, like, the jump snap might have gone in, but it definitely wasn't good. And the Bears don't get in the end zone. So that's, like, the whole. It ended up being an hour. This is a nice way to I'll probably clip that and we'll talk defense another time. But I can tell you, okay, you know what? We'll talk, like, a little bit of the defense stuff right here. Where's my media stuff? Because somehow I closed out of my defense stuff. Okay, so the main thing that I guess I would talk about, if I was going to talk about anything on defense, is that the Packers' run game was just awesome. I could show you clip upon clip upon clip upon clip upon clip of the Packers just running the ball and winning. Like, let's see. I can probably do it. Like, okay, this is not a bad one. This one's for the brand. So right here, I want you to watch how hard Kyler Gordon is about to bite on a play action fake. Remember that he is playing nickel cornerback, for crying out loud. Like, we'll get there, censored, but on the play action fake with 18 Randall Cobb kicking out, but Kyler completely gets suckered by a play action fake that had been beating him fundamentally all game, and then he is late to get over there. Obviously, Cobb cuts on in, but all the people that were saying, like, holy moly, Kyler Gordon is so bad. There's a ton of examples of play action scenarios where not only does everybody bite like crazy, but they also, frankly, like, I'll show you a moment here where, what is his name? Nick Morrow bails into coverage on a clear run. Like, the Bears couldn't tell. They could not tell whether the Packers were going to run or pass on any given down. And as I talk about something that I want to